Hello, my friends. I'm Rob, down here in the lair of OmnusI. This time I'm doing something a little bit differently. This is a heartfelt thank you that's going out to Frank Mentzer and his wife, Debbie. Frank Mentzer, of course, is the man who is front and center on Dungeons and Dragons, the game that I've been talking about quite a bit. That came out after Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, first edition, and created more of an easier access version of Dungeons and Dragons that still give you all the breadth you can play and design your adventures with that you could in a prior version, but simplified so that people can more easily wrap their heads around it and more people could get engaged into the hobby. This is also my entry point into role-playing games. The first set that I really could understand and use that I discovered when I was in high school and had an immense amount of fun with. Very fond memories. So I owe him for that already. But the beauty of this man is that he treasures the gaming community. He's a person who understands, where he's come from. He seems like he's incredibly grateful for all that gaming has given him, the notoriety, the cachet to be able to be taken incredibly seriously and still have a massive impact on the gaming hobby long after TSR is gone. And right now, as I speak, GaryCon is in full swing. Today is Thursday the 23rd of March 2017. It will be continuing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday down in Lake Geneva. I am occupied. I couldn't go this year. Unfortunately, next year we're going to have to make that happen. But I did not know that back in the earliest days of Gen Con, Gary Gygax, one of the foremost creators of Dungeons and Dragons, actually used to board gamers from out of town in his house and feed them before Gen Con, the big tactical war games convention that he put forward, and then eventually it came one of the banner pieces for Dungeons and Dragons, and all the other things that TSR came out with at the time. So Frank, in honor of his memory of his friend and one of the people who really put him on a path of success in his field, he decided that he was going to, once he had a house that was able to do this, he was going to throw a big party before the GaryCon. And he invited pretty much anybody who was a gamer who was in his social circles. Now, I'm kind of a Johnny-come-lately to the social networking scene. And I only recently reached out to Frank on Facebook as a friend. And I was lucky enough that he accepted my offer. And so I heard about his Frankenparty. And even though I couldn't make it Thursday through Sunday for GaryCon because of my other commitments, I was able to get up for one day, Wednesday, that's yesterday, to go to his house, his very house, to be fed and everything, and to meet all these other gamers, to just to enjoy being around other gamers and having this wonderful experience. And so I did. I drove out. It was a 2-hour drive from up here in Fond du Lac. It was a beautiful drive through Wisconsin, all the way there. And it was a dark ride all the way home. I left at about 9, so I could make it back to just before 11. And I got there, and first of all, his house is beautiful. He's got the old Victorian house that he's restored. It's absolutely gorgeous. And so much of what has been done there, it makes it incredibly cozy, but at the same time it opens up large spaces so that people can gather and talk and see things. And his house is like a museum. Decades of being in the gamer scene, being very central to what gaming was and the biggest hub of gaming, starting with TSR, where he started in 1980. He has accumulated a vast number of prints and art and sculptures and modules and stuff. It's just, the man has incredible, his fingerprint is everywhere, and the friendships that he has made and the networks that he has is truly remarkable. And just looking at the things that he opened up to us to let us see, not showing off. I never felt that around Frank. I mean, I know all of us gamers like to show off, but honestly, it's more like going through a museum rather than going to somebody's brag party. He was a wonderful man. Just so friendly, so engaging. He wanted everybody to have a good time. There isn't anything artificial about Frank Mentzer. And I felt so at ease, despite the fact that I had this fanboy geekiness welling up within me. I just wanted to gush. I just wanted to tell him how much I owed him for creating this game that was my entry point into this hobby that I've loved so much and poured so much of myself into. I pulled back because, like I said, he wanted to throw this for the gamers. I didn't, you know, I wanted to give him my very first character, or maybe my first die, and to say, thank you for this. I pulled back. I just, I gave him a small token of my appreciation, but it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't a vial of blood or anything like that. Trust me on that. And I think everybody there, paid for the food and everything that we were, and the food. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I mean, the snacks were top notch. The food was great. I'm glad I was able to give him some money back, because I would have felt really guilty walking away with a full stomach from the amazing food that they served. And the people that I met. One of the lead designers for Paizo's Pathfinders was there cooking along with his wife. Oh, and by the way, Debbie, his wife, wonderful woman, amazing. Somebody who let so many strangers into her house and just was engaging and bright and interested. And again, I'm a nobody in the industry. I don't have any personal, accolades that would impress anyone. The time I've spent in the industry has just been entertaining my circle of friends. There's so many other gamers. But I felt like they valued my being there and my having a good time. And they seemed pretty happy that I was able to make it, which, felt so good. Just to be there and be a part of it. And, his wife is fantastic. Absolutely a bundle of energy, and I'm sure she was probably exhausted afterward, because she was the perfect hostess, making sure all the food was out, everybody was taken care of. I don't think I ever saw her sit down. She was constantly everywhere, and wonderful, wonderful person. Nice to talk to, everything. But like I said, we had dignitaries, a gentleman from Paizo, several people who worked originally back in TSR with Frank, that he knew and had conversations with. As I was getting ready to leave, Stefan Picorni from Dwarven Forge, and I didn't have a chance to talk to either of them, but that was another eye-opening, VIPs whose work I certainly regard highly. Just showing up, and it was like it was a social event. That almost got a kind of a voyeuristic feel. It was like, these guys want to enjoy each other's company in private a little bit more. But again, there was Frank going, no, everybody is an equal here. Go ahead, talk to other people to do things. And of course, one of the highlights too, he had a desk that originally would belong to Gary Gygax, that he purchased and had as his own, and encouraged us to sit down, take pictures at it, which I did. Sadly, my cell phone camera is garbage. I won't be able to share those with you because they're really bad. The video that I took, again, it's just not worthy of putting on here. And honestly, to a little part of me wants to kind of preserve a little of that for myself. It's selfish, I know. But also, if you weren't there, if you ever get that invitation or that chance, He's amazing. I can't imagine anybody who would have any kind of a problem with Frank Mentzer or his wife or their hospitality. It was top notch, wonderful. The generosity that they showed also was incredible. They had a large silver cup that was just full of the old plastic 20-sided dice that were on a print run that came out for the original Dungeons and Dragons game. So all of these were 35 years old. And they were the old kind where you would, fill in the numbers with crayon and then wipe them smooth so that the numbers would show up and be highlit. So he gave those out. He also had a treasure hunt throughout his house where he had different dragons that he had. The guy has a huge fascination for dragons, much as I love dragons. And, of course, his collection is a lot cooler than mine. But he put together this wonderful treasure hunt, which I loved, throughout his whole house. And I was fortunate enough and determined enough that I spent about an hour and a half. I found almost everything, although his last one was just a brutal tiebreaker that only one or two people could do. And the reward for that was the full set of those dice. So a 4-sider, an 8-sided die, another 10-sided die to use as a contrast, so you could roll percentile dice, and a 12-sided die. Again, all of the same original material, the old softer plastic that came in the boxes of the classic Dungeons and Dragons game. I love dice. Anybody who knows me knows I love dice. I will treasure those. They will not get rolled. I may color them in with crayon just for the experience of doing it again, but that's something I'm going to treasure for a long time. As well as all of the memories. I got to talk to Frank for a little while. He would hold court in different rooms, and he'd go around trying to talk to everybody as a good host, but too many people would just pen him in, and they would ask him questions, almost like interrogating. And he was only too glad to tell us these stories, about what being in TSR was like, what Gary was like, what experiences led up to the different things that he did, his own personal background and what brought him into gaming. A lot of us came with questions, lots of questions. I still have lots of questions I would love to ask him, but I had to wait my turn. I didn't want to press it. I didn't want to be that guy. I did everything with as much restraint as I could, and he sensed how much restraint I was showing. Another thing of the charm of the man. He looked me in the eye, and he said, "Stop apologizing when you get in my way. Don't say I'm sorry. I don't want you to be sorry here. I want you to have fun. Just relax." And that was just amazing. So for the whole time, the whole experience of it all, I hope that you guys can tell just how much I was blown away by this experience, how much I loved it. I love the time period that we're in, where, socially we can encounter these people who, depending on how seriously you take your hobby, you might idolize a bit. I certainly do. They have what I would love to do. They have that kind of respect. They have that cachet that, it's unshakable. This is Frank Mentzer. He has done all of this. And it is amazing what he has done and what he's still got coming up. He's not idle. He's not idle at all. Listening to all these other gamers, these people aren't idle. You either have people who play the game or who work in the industry who always keep working because they love it. For some of them it's a living, but it was just an amazing experience. I can't go into any other way. And it has fired up everything within me to keep pressing on, to work on my dice file system and get that ready so I can show people, to do everything I can, to write more, to read more, to be better at my craft, and to make something that I can put out and I can say, well, I've done some things too. I really want to get there, even more now than ever. So again, something else I owe Frank. So that was my experience with Frankenparty. It maybe is transformative. I don't know. I know that as far as entertainment, it was amazing. I couldn't imagine a better time. there's very few people that I can believe I would have had a much better experience with, just because they were such great hosts. And the quality of the guests was great. I talked to gamers from all over. I had wonderful conversations. We relived stories. Didn't play a lot of games there, and I heard some people bemoaning that, but honestly, it was just a great time to be a gamer. And out in the middle of, well, no, not in the middle, this is the very south of Wisconsin, but it was such an excellent time. I can't adequately relay how much fun I had, how great of a time I had. So I really hope, Frank, that you get to see this video, and so that you can hear me express how I really feel, that I didn't have the time to take you away from your party so that I could properly thank you. And I hope Debbie sees this too, because you're amazing. You're a beautiful woman inside and out, and thank you all so much for being the perfect hostess. I can't wait till next year. You will have a hard time keeping me away, unless there's restraining orders involved, but trust me, there's nobody who holds you in higher regard right now. So thank you very much. And I hope for those of you who pay attention to old OmnusI here, if you ever have this chance to meet with your heroes, the people you hold in regard, the gaming industry is a wonderful place. It has dark corners, sure. It's got people who are scum, absolutely. You do need some discretion, but there are treasures. There are cornerstones. And unfortunately, we're not getting any younger. Enjoy these people while we have them. And if you miss out on an opportunity to meet with somebody, hopefully you never regret it. But there's some amazing opportunities that this time and age gives us. And as somebody is so generous and so giving to give back to the community with something like this, you'd be a fool to pass it up. I know I couldn't, and I'm a better person today for it. So, this is myself, Rob, also OmnusI, professionally. And once again, thank you for watching. And if you get a hold of this, Mr. Mentzer, Frank, thank you again. Wonderful opportunity. I will never forget it. Thank you. And safe travels to all of you.